You may have heard of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the United States. There are 9 judges who are part of the Supreme Court. They're called Supreme Court Justices. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, this lady, she was one of the Supreme Court justices. It's sad that she died and passed away last week. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a Supreme Court justice who fought for women's rights, who disagreed with things that were not fair for many people in the United States. And she was a fighter to the end. She fought cancer over and over again. She was the second woman to be a Supreme Court justice. So this book is called I Dissent. And dissent, that means to disagree. So if something is if something is unfair in the world, and you say, I dissent, that means you disagree with it. So let's read this book called I Dissent. Ruth Bader Ginsburg makes her mark. And girl, did she make her mark. I Dissent. Ruth Bader Ginsburg makes her mark. Written by Debbie Levy, illustrations by Elizabeth Baddeley. You could say that Ruth Bader Ginsburg's life has been one disagreement after another. She has objected, which kind of means disagree. She has resisted, which means you push back against something that's not right. She has dissented, which means to disagree. She has disagreed with creaky old ideas, with unfairness, with inequality. Ruth has disagreed, disapproved, and deferred. Disagreeable, was she? No. Determined? Yes. And determined means, she worked hard for what she thought was right. This is how Ruth Bader Ginsburg changed her life and ours. In 1940, Little Ruth's neighborhood was vibrant. It was alive with immigrants, people from Italy, Ireland, England, Poland, and Germany, Jews from Russia. Like Ruth's father, Nathan Bader. People from different cultures with different holidays, foods, and traditions. But in all these families in Brooklyn, New York, and in families everywhere, one thing was the same in all the families. Boys were expected to grow up and to go out in the world and do big things. Girls were expected to grow up and find husbands. That's what was the same. Ruth's mother disagreed. That's not the only thing for a girl. Celia Amster Bader thought girls should also have the chance to make their mark on the world. So she took Ruth to the library. On the shelves were stories of girls and women who did big things. Ruth read about Nancy Drew, girl detective. She discovered Amelia Earhart, daring aviator. Amelia Earhart flew airplanes. She learned of Athena, goddess of Greek myths. Here were independent girls and women taking charge. Ruth read her way into this world. Around her, the sweet scent of books blended with savory aromas from the Chinese restaurant downstairs. That's right. The books were near a Chinese restaurant. Delicious! A girl could be anything. Sometimes Ruth and her parents took car trips out of the crowded city. As they drove past a hotel in Pennsylvania, Ruth saw a sign: "No dogs or Jews allowed." This is how it was in those days. Hotels, restaurants, even entire neighborhoods announcing, "No Jews, no colored," which means no people who are black allowed. Wrong. No Mexicans. Wrong. Whites only. Wrong. Ruth and her family were Jewish, and these signs were prejudice. Prejudice means treating some people unfairly because of their identity. That's right. This was prejudice pure and simple. Now it was Ruth's turn to disagree. She disagreed by never forgetting how it felt to read such words. She never forgot the sting of prejudice. Prejudice, treating people unfairly because of something about their identity. That didn't sit right with Ruth. In elementary school, Ruth was excellent in some classes, and she was less excellent in others. Her favorites were English, history, and gym. In those, she did well. But then there was handwriting. Ruth was left-handed, and back then, teachers made left-handers switch to their right hands. Again, not right. Ruth's right-handed penmanship was so bad, she earned a D on her penmanship test. D is not such a good grade. She cried. Then she protested. Ruth protested by writing with her left hand from that day forward. She decided to disobey the teachers because the teachers were trying to make her do something that was wrong. And it turned out that she had quite nice handwriting with her left hand. Ruth also had a little problem with sewing and cooking. These were her least favorite classes, but girls had to take them, sewing and cooking. Boys took shop, where they chopped wood, made things from metal, and they worked with saws and other tools, separating the boys and girls. Wrong. Ruth objected. That's right. She disagreed. She wanted to take shop. She wanted to handle a saw. Yeah, she didn't get what she wanted. It may have been unfair to girls and to boys, but Ruth was learning that sometimes life was like that, unfair. Ruth loved music. She especially loved opera. La, 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 la. In music class, she lifted her voice in song. This time it was Ruth's music teacher who objected gently. Ruth simply could not carry a tune. Her singing was a little bit off melody. The teacher asked Ruth not to sing out loud in the chorus. Ruth kept on singing. In the shower and in her dreams, she continued to adore opera too. Even if the music teacher said that her voice didn't sound so good, Ruth kept singing in the showers. By the time Ruth was in high school, friends and teachers knew her as an outstanding student. She was a good student. She was a baton twirler, a cello player, and newspaper editor. She wrote the school newspaper, or she helped edit it. As graduation approached, Ruth was chosen to make a speech at the ceremony, but she had been keeping a big secret. Her mother was terribly sick. The day before graduation, Ruth's mother, Celia Bader, died. There was no agreeing with this. There was no disagreeing. This simply was. Ruth did not go to her graduation. She did not give her speech. Still, Ruth knew what her mother wanted. 3 months later, Ruth left home to attend college. Not many girls went to college in the late 1950s. Ruth made friends, but she also met girls who excluded, that means left out, Jews from their clubs. She met boys who thought girls should be looking for husbands. And then she met Martin Ginsburg. Marty was tall and funny. Ruth was small and serious. Marty could make her laugh. And they fell in love. And they hatched a plan. After college, they would go to law school, both of them lawyers. Ruth had learned that they could fight unfairness and prejudice in courts as lawyers. People thought it was a fine idea for Marty to attend law school. They didn't think Ruth should go. A lady lawyer? People disapproved. But Ruth, she disapproved right back. And so did Marty, her husband. They got married. They both went to law school. And they had a baby named Jane. Ruth's law school class had a total of 9 women and 500 men. She studied mightily and tied for first place in the class. First place. And yet at graduation time, no one would hire this brilliant new lawyer. Why not? She was a woman. Men did not want to work with a woman. So wrong. She was a mother. Men thought a mother wouldn't pay attention to work. So wrong. Plenty of women are mothers and workers at the same time. She was Jewish. Many people were still prejudiced. They had biases against Jews. Wrong. Again. 3 strikes against her. Jewish, woman, a mother. Ruth was not out. She resisted, and she persisted. Finally, a judge hired her, and she worked like mad for him. After that, one law school hired her, and then another. Ruth became one of the few female law professors in the whole country. A law professor is someone who teaches people to become lawyers, and Ruth became a law professor. And she did it with a new baby at home. Her and Marty had another one named James. Ruth had disagreed and worked her way into being a lawyer and a professor, but around her, other women were excluded. They were left out of jobs. When they did get jobs, they earned less than men. That means they earned less money than men for the same job. Wrong. They were kept out of important roles in courts and government. To make matters worse, the Supreme Court of the United States, which was the highest court in the land, approved of all of this. They approved of men earning more than women for the same job. So even some of the highest leaders are wrong. As one Supreme Court justice had written years before, the natural and proper timidity and delicacy which belongs to the female sex evidently unfits it for many of the occupations of civil life. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like that Supreme Court justice is saying that women can't do it all. Wrong. In other words, women and girls were too shy and too weak to do big things in the world. Wrong. Another Supreme Court opinion declared, woman has always been dependent upon man. Wrong again. Ruth really, really, really disagreed with all of these Supreme Court rulings about women and what they should do. You go, Ruth. You go. So Ruth went to court to fight for equal treatment of women. The most important cases went to the Supreme Court. The first time she appeared there, Ruth was so nervous she feared she might be sick. But standing before the 9 Supreme Court justices, Ruth imagined them as her students. She, Professor Ginsburg, Ruth imagined them as students, and she, Professor Ginsburg, needed to teach these students, who were all men, why a person's choices should not be limited just because she was born a girl. That's right, Ruth. Girls can do it all. Ruth was not only fighting for women. When women were excluded from the work world, men were excluded from home life. Why shouldn't a father stay home to care for his children and cook the meals? That's right. Men can love children and work with children and stay home and cook for children too. Why shouldn't his wife run a business? These were fresh ideas in the 1970s. Yeah, Ruth was making new ideas come alive. Ruth did not win every case, but she won enough. With each victory, women and men and girls and boys enjoyed a little more equality. That's right. Ruth, like so many other people, fought for equality. Like Harriet Tubman, like Harriet Beecher Stowe, like Sojourner Truth. You go. Sometimes Ruth and Marty's children received confused looks when they said that their mother argued cases in the Supreme Court and their father made the family's dinners. People found this strange. Your dad makes the dinners and your mom argues courts in front of the Supreme... She argues cases in front of the Supreme Court as a lawyer? Really? Ruth, Marty, Jane, and James did not concur. They did not agree that this was strange. They thought this was fine. They kept on being the type of family they wanted to be, and dinners at the Ginsburg home were delicious. Marty was a successful lawyer, but also a marvelous chef who had mastered the art of French cooking. Bonjour. Tu voudrais un petit dinner? Ruth, her family knew, had mastered the art of burnt pot roast. Yeah. Ruth was not such a good cook. No. Ruth became well known as a lawyer, so well known that President Jimmy Carter chose her to be a judge in Washington, D.C. And then Ruth became known as a first-rate judge, and President Bill Clinton asked her to be a justice on the Supreme Court. Along with the 8 other Supreme Court justices, her job would be to decide the most significant, that means important, the most significant cases and answer the most difficult legal questions in the United States. Ruth agreed. She agreed to become a Supreme Court justice. In 1993, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg became the first Jewish woman on the nation's highest court. I do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States. But the Constitution needs some changing. In each case, the Supreme Court considers, after hearing from lawyers who argue for each side, the 9 justices take a vote. The side that gets the most votes wins the case. The justices who agree write an opinion to explain the court's ruling. When Justice Ginsburg votes with the winning side, she wears a special lace collar over her robe. That's right, she wears something special when she votes with the winning side. But many times, when the Supreme Court announces the decision, Justice Ginsburg disagrees. That's right, there are many times where she disagrees with the decision that wins. And then she says, I dissent. She says, I dissent, and she writes her own opinion explaining why. Plus, she wears a different collar. Yeah, this one is when she is dissenting or disagreeing with the winning vote. I dissent, Justice Ginsburg said when the court would not help women or African Americans or immigrants who had been treated unfairly at work. I dissent when the court rejected a law meant to protect the right of all citizens to vote, no matter what their skin color. I dissent when the court said no to schools that offered African Americans a better chance to go to college. Justice Ginsburg can be very convincing. In one dissent, she explained why the court was wrong to rule against women workers who were fighting to get paid the same as men. Congress and the president agreed with her, and they passed a law to undo the court's ruling. Heh. You go, Ruth. Justice Ginsburg has disagreed most often with the legal views of Justice Antonin Scalia. But they didn't just complain. I dissent. No, I dissent. They shared their conflicting ideas. Each pointed out weaknesses in the other's arguments. And after the opinions were written, the two justices had fun with each other. They didn't let disagreements about law get in the way of a long friendship. Looks like the two justices who disagree a lot, or who disagreed a lot since they passed, are going parachuting. Riding on an elephant in India, parasailing in France. Justice Ginsburg is now the oldest member of the Supreme Court. She was, because she passed away. Some people have said she should quit because of her age. Justice Ginsburg begs to differ. She works as hard as ever. She exercises in the gym. She never misses a day in court. She attends the opera, gives speeches, and travels. Many have cheered Justice Ginsburg for her persistence. That means when you work hard at something. And her independence. She thinks for herself. Independent. They've called her a rock star, a queen, a goddess, a hero. Or we should say, a shiro. Of course, Ruth Bader Ginsburg isn't a rock star, a queen, or a goddess, but to many, she is a shiro. She made change happen and she changed minds. She cleared a path for people to follow in her footsteps. Girls in college, women in law school, and everyone who wants to be treated without prejudice. Her voice may not carry a tune, but it sings out for equality. Step by step, she has made a difference. One disagreement after another. The end. There's more information at the back of this book about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I'm not going to read this, but you can in your time. Then the back says, fight for the things that you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you. Do it with love. And that's the story. I dissent. Ruth Bader Ginsburg makes her mark. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a shiro who has died with many, many people in 2020. But we shall remember her. Hope you enjoyed that.